I checked. Nope.
Okay, we will get started. Welcome everybody to Wednesday, October 22, 2025 Spokane Plan Commission hearing. Angie, will you take roll, please?
President Bank.
Here.
Vice President Patterson.
Here.
Commissioner Francis.
Here.
Commissioner Lenhart.
Here.
Commissioner Madsen.
Here.
Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Yachts. Here. Okay. And Commissioner Shook and Commissioner Tamouche are absent. And let the record also reflect that Community Assembly Liaison Mary Winkus is here, and we have a quorum.
Very good. Thank you, Angie. Do we have anyone online to provide testimony? Okay, and seeing no one in the room, I think we'll skip over the hearing procedures and just move right on into the two items that we have on the agenda for this evening. The first is the Capital Improvement Program with Kevin Freibot and Jessica Stratton. Oh, there's Kevin. I was hiding. Sorry. Welcome again, Kevin. Great to see you as always.
I think I got it right. There we go. Good afternoon, Plan Commission President, Plan Commissioners. It's been ages since you've heard me talk, all of 14 minutes. But thank you so much for having us. This is the hearing for File Z25499-COMP. That would be the comprehensive plan amendment that would add the next iteration of the capital improvement plan to our program to the comprehensive plan. I'm going to go very fast because we don't even really have anybody in the audience today other than staff. But as always, I'm happy to answer questions if you have them. So this is, as we do every year, sorry, I have to get these windows out of the way. This is a comprehensive plan amendment to the existing comprehensive plan. We've been talking about the new one in the last hour, but this is the existing one. And unlike a lot of the comprehensive plan amendments that we process with you, this is not a map change, this is not a text change, this is a change to the appendix. And it's simply to incorporate the 6-year CIP into the comprehensive plan itself. My computer is not behaving. There we go. This as a very, very brief overview of what we talked about at the workshop. The CIP itself is all of the capital improvements or major expenditures over the next 6 years that for which funding has been identified or for which we expect to have funding identified. The city goes a little further than most in that we will put unfunded projects in the CIP for transparency purposes. But just note that anything unfunded, anything in the CIP itself that says that there isn't yet adequate funds identified, it doesn't go in the budget. Ultimately, though, those projects that were funded will go in the budget. You can see here the amounts over the next 6 years. Of course, we update this every year, and so all of this might change when we get to it. So by next year, you know, that $347 million might be different. This is, again, how those costs are split, and it also provides me the opportunity to remind you that per normal procedures, the streets part of the CIP is adopted earlier in the year. You've already seen that. It's already gone to council. That's adopted. So we're only talking about the other departments, police, fire, parks, solid waste, those kinds of things. The nexus for review for the Plan Commission and why I'm here today is because the Plan Commission has the responsibility of considering the consistency of these projects with the comprehensive plan. And so to that end, what we do is we typically highlight for you those projects that have been identified that affect capacity, either grow it, shrink it, change it. Because really, when we're talking about the comprehensive plan and the development and growth strategy for the city, that's really what the connection to the comp plan is like, are we going to be able to serve? Are we going to be able to meet the strategy? So anytime we change the capacity, we highlight those. I'm going to try to count these while I'm standing here because I always forget the number. 9. Okay, so we have 9 water projects that we discussed previously that have been added to the plan since last year. We also have 5 sewer capacity. There's fewer capacity changing projects this year, not because of any budget changes or anything, just because of the realities of project management. When it comes to the comprehensive plan amendment itself, the Spokane Municipal Code 17G 020-030, maybe we'll get shorter numbers with the new municipal code. That statute provides you the criteria. Those are the ones you've seen quite a few times, the A through K, I believe it is. My staff report that I provided to you several weeks ago or a few weeks ago outlined that, to the best of our knowledge and understanding, that all of those criteria have been met. That does, of course, include SEPA. A SEPA determination was made. We issued a comment period, actually more than 15 days before this hearing. We have not heard a peep, not a single comment. You have been provided with the only public comment that we have gotten. You received it in your email this morning. We have not received any other comments on this proposal this year. That's not entirely unusual, especially because these projects come from other things that had large, expansive engagement processes of their own. The CIP itself is largely a large list. And so it was, but we do appreciate Ms. Tomczyk providing that comment, and hopefully you all had a chance to review that. And then, as with just about all actions that we bring to you, the Plan Commission makes the recommendation. Ultimately, City Council will decide whether to approve. In the case of the CIP, that's more of the overall budget process. It's not a standalone kind of ordinance like we do with other comp plan amendments. So ultimately, your decision here will result in findings of fact, and President Bank will be asked to sign those, and then it goes on to City Council. Also, unlike the more traditional map amendments, that's the end of my involvement with this. And so just as I've put up Jessica's information, sorry, Jessica, probably should have asked permission first, but I did put up Jessica's email address. If folks have comments or questions after this hearing, I would just ask that they contact Jessica, because my involvement will end and she will have to take this home to Plan Commission or to City Council. So other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and that's all I've got for you today.
Very good. Thank you, Kevin. Questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I move that we recommend, oh my gosh, now I can't read it. Z25499 comp to the City Council.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Do we have any deliberation? Okay, hearing none, I will close the deliberation. Angie, will you please poll the commission? We went too
President
fast for
Bank?
you, didn't we? Aye.
Vice President Patterson,
Aye.
Commissioner Francis,
Aye.
Commissioner Lenhart,
Aye.
Commissioner Mattson,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Yachts. Motion passes unanimously, 7-0.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, Jessica, for taking all this forward. I know it's repetitive, but it's important stuff, and we're happy to move it along. Speaking of moving along, on to co-living SMC update with Brandon Whitmarsh. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you. Hello, I am Brandon Whitmarsh, and as Commissioner, or I cannot talk today, Plan Commission President Bank stated, I am here talking about the co-living housing code updates to implement HB 1998, which was adopted by the legislature in 2024. I know for many of you this is a review, but what are we talking about? So co-living is a type of residential development that is made up of sleeping units that share kitchen facilities, and that is part of the state definition. A sleeping unit is different from a dwelling unit in that it does not have all of the things that would constitute a dwelling unit. So it does not have to have a kitchen, bathroom, and living facilities or sleeping facilities. It can have a subset of those things, but it cannot have all of those things. And so examples are single room occupancy, rooming, lodging houses, those kinds of things, as well as potentially like private versions of dormitories. Aside from the mandate of state law, some things to think about as the benefits of co-living are that, one, this was a historically common type of housing. It's a housing option that is more affordable and more flexible for people. In the early 1900s, downtown, a significant number of properties had this type of housing, and that was a type of housing that was supportive of the growing population and the diverse needs of the community. Also, the Department of Commerce has stated that in Washington State specifically, this style of housing can provide housing affordable to households making as low as 50% AMI. So that is providing housing that is unsubsidized but more affordable than general market rate housing. So as I've stated before, the adoption deadline is December 31st of this year. We've had 2 Plan Commission workshops on this topic, and after today's hearing, we will be going to City Council for a decision in December. So the requirements of RCW 3670A 535, which is where the legislative mandate is housed, require that based on location, anywhere that we allow 6 units or more on a lot, we have to allow co-living as well. There's also a requirement that we cannot have standards for the style, size, mix of unit types, all of those kinds of things within co-living development. Anything outside of the building code minimums is for the size of units, those kinds of things we cannot have standards on. For parking, there's limitations on how much parking we can require. In the city of Spokane, we don't have parking minimums, so not relevant. For density, when calculating density, we have to count sleeping units as a quarter of a dwelling unit. So if our maximum density on a lot is, if it were to be 5 units, then it would be 20 sleeping units. We have to have the same development and noticing standards for co-living development as any other similar scale multi-unit development. And finally, there's some limitations on connection fees that, because our connection fees are already proportional to the use of the development, it's not relevant. The state was attempting to make sure that we were not penalizing this style of development when the use of utilities did not actually match the use of the units count. So what does that mean for the proposed package of code changes that you've seen? Updating definitions to meet the state law definitions, allowing co-living in all zones except residential agriculture, and the industrial zones when you're further than a quarter mile from the river. That is all but R1 and R2 zones. It's already allowed in those zones, so it's not a significant shift from what is existing. You all recommended no open space requirements through the workshop discussions. And then also just clarifying the applicability standards of our design standards of where to use different codes when talking about co-living. And then finally, making sure that residential household living as a use description was inclusive of co-living so that we are regulating co-living the same as any other multi-unit development in the city. This proposal was evaluated under SEPA. The determination of non-significance was published on October 2nd, and we have received no public comments on that or the proposal as a whole. So unlike the very extensive list that of A through K for the comp plan amendments, the approval criteria for a development code amendment is simply, is it consistent with the comprehensive plan, and does it relate to the health, safety, and welfare, as well as the protection of the environment? And the staff report stated that it is for both of those things. As a whole, there are a number of supporting comprehensive plan policies on housing choice, diversity throughout the city, efficient land use. All of those things work towards co-living, as well as on the second criteria. This is state mandated, so it meets that criteria. It just is not deciding to load today. Okay, you have 3 recommendation options. Recommend city council approval of this proposal, recommend approval with modifications, or do not recommend the approval to city council. The staff recommendation is to recommend approval. So I will leave it to it. Any questions?
Thank you, Brandon. Questions for Brandon?
Perfect. Thank you. Ooh, yes.
We got one.
Jill.
Mic on.
Oh, thank you. Can you just refresh my memory on the difference between co-living and group homes?
Yes. So co-living, while it could be, so there's a lot of overlap between the two in the development style, but maybe not the use of the structure itself. And so the final proposal here is to separate those two by saying that group living is defined as having some form of care, treatment, or service provided. And that's kind of that definition, because before then, the distinction between co-living and multiple people living within a space, even like dorms or people renting out a house together. Like there's all of these weird things that kind of skirt one or the other, but the distinction, at least under this proposal, is that provision of care or treatment or services is what triggers that group living and or anything that already falls under group living from a state like regulation perspective.
Okay, further?
I have a question about, is there anything in the state requirements or in the proposed City of Spokane requirements that will address how common areas are maintained?
There is not.
Okay.
That was a discussion at the last Plan Commission workshop, and the final proposal was to not regulate that specifically.
Thank you.
Anyone else? As well, I'll ask, can you just refresh my memory where we landed with the short-term rental question?
Yes, so short-term rentals will have the same limitations in co-living as any other residential development, multi-unit residential development based on the underlying zone. So in residential zones, that would be a maximum of 20% of units, and in non-residential zones, a maximum of 30% of units being short-term rentals.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Jill? No. Hey, this is our time.
Can this be used for both long-term, like permanent housing or temporary housing, or is this intended specifically for permanent housing?
As done currently, that short-term rental side of things does keep it as the long-term permanent housing. The temporary housing type development is still allowed and was already allowed under community services or some of the other use categories. But if you're talking about just like basic residential development, then that maximum of 30% or 20%, depending on the zone, is the maximum, and then everything else is intended to be that long-term residential housing.
Sorry, yeah, that was kind of like,
No, that's great.
There's a
We
difference.
need all that clarification. That was a spicy conversation. Greg, please.
Well, and just to clarify, long-term housing under this definition is greater than 30 days.
Correct.
Right.
So rented on a monthly basis. Yeah.
Okay, any further questions for Brandon? Okay, very good. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, at this point, we'll entertain a motion.
I move that we update the SMC to adopt the co-living as presented by staff to City Council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so deliberation. Who wants to go first? Greg?
I will always go. Well, I didn't go for Kevin. Sorry, Kevin. I'll just say, well, to me, I'm really glad we're doing this. I know we're doing it for, compliance with state law, and it's really just kind of extending it into residential zones. To me, I think of SROs as a very important housing type to meet our most affordable needs. And I hope that this process will help expose that opportunity to developers that want to utilize it. Because while this may not be the ideal housing type for lots of people, it's the housing type that's going to be most affordable to some people. And I think filling in that gap is really important, and I'm glad we're moving forward with this.
I agree. I also am very supportive of this. I think we would have gotten here on our own without the state mandate, but this just accelerated the early adoption. And in addition to SROs, I actually think that the opportunity to build boarding houses in neighborhoods and not just in the downtown area can have a really positive effect on people being able to find, again, the type of housing that matches their situation. Maybe they don't want to have to do deal with an entire apartment, or they want to have the other opportunities provided by a boarding house, something that we've really lost in the rest of the 20th century.
Go ahead.
I'll just, I guess, echo some of those that I'm excited that we're moving forward with this. I wasn't part of some of the workshop discussions surrounding this, and so I'm not sure of all the intricacies that were discussed there, but I do have some concerns about security within the structure itself, like with shared restroom facilities or other shared living facilities. I think my current thought is let this move forward, and then when these projects actually start to happen, we can kind of see what's going on, and then evaluate in a couple of years when we start to see them occupied.
Thank you. Greg, go for
I
it.
got another one.
Good.
First, I want to say thanks to Brandon. You did this very quickly, very efficiently, and with a lot of accuracy, and I really appreciate that. The other thing I would say is that I'm really glad we're not throwing criteria as far as restrictions, any sort of development restrictions on it, because as this is one of the most affordable housing types, I think minimizing any sort of constraints on that development, I think, is going to be important. And while I share concerns as far as security goes, hopefully the developer and the operator of the facility is going to take that into consideration, and hopefully we'll see things adapt to meet those needs.
Great. Any further comment from anyone? Okay, well, I'll just come in and echo everything that everyone's just said, because I completely agree with all of it. I think it's high time that we do this, and so mandated from the state level or not, I think we've done a really nice job of taking that state mandate and ensuring that it fits here in this market. I also want to take a little moment to give everyone in here a pat on the back for meeting so many of those criteria that the state mandated already without that mandate. We're doing a really good job here doing some of this stuff. I'm really proud to have been a part of it and happy to be a part of this chapter as well, because echoing Greg's point, this is a critically important element of housing. And I think back to when we were starting the BOCA days, the slide deck that Director Gardner and some of the other team members used, showing how Spokane physically accommodated a massive influx of population in the 1910s, 1920s, was through these types of uses, among others. But a lot of those people were housed in these types of situations. And I think we're at this really interesting inflection point in history where we're looking back and understanding how they did some of those things, and instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, really trying to take some of those learnings and move them forward and adapt them for this time now. So also echo, thank you, Brandon. I think you did a really nice, really concise job with this. I really appreciated that as well. Further comment from anyone? Okay, Angie, please poll the commission.
President Bank,
Aye.
Vice President Patterson,
Aye.
Commissioner Francis,
Aye.
Commissioner Lenhart,
Aye.
Commissioner Madsen,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Yachts,
Aye.
and let the record reflect that Commissioner Shook and Tamush are absent. That passes unanimously, 7-0.
Great, thank you, Angie. Okay, do we have any further comments? Anyone else with anything for the good of the record? Please.
Goodbye.
Thanks, Greg.
Do we have another hearing before I leave?
You mean today? There is no other hearing.
No,
on
I
it.
know.
In the next 2 months.
Before your term is up at the end of the year. Yes, I think we do have something else. I'd have to look at the agenda. I think there will be something before the end of the year.
I retract my goodbye.
So there's still time to bring a cake and balloons. Okay, and with that, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.